Humans of the Cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today I'm talking about Rescue Ace in Yu-Gi-Oh! Specifically in the OCG. This deck is the best deck in the game, weirdly enough. It's a weird situation. I will give it, for the last 2 weeks, it's been the best deck in the OCG. But I don't think this is necessarily a fluke. Maybe being the best deck, and as you can see, it's literally 0.9% more representation in top cuts than Pirelli. And then not even that much further ahead of Runic and Branded and Mathmech 2. So it is still a super diverse format. So being the best deck does not always mean you are head and shoulders, Spiral level, Zodiac level, owning everything. Right, everything your eyes can see is your territory. This is nothing like that. But they do have some very particular things going on that I think are really cool. Not just being a solid deck, but also that allows them to be placed specifically well in the format. So here's the first thing. Let's take a look at a deck list from one of the topping lists. There's not going to be too many differences across these lists. I mean, there's going to be some, I've seen some slight ratio differences. I've seen 1 or 2 Turbulence. I've seen 2 to 3 of Fire Engine. I've seen 1 or 2 of this guy. And then, this list is playing just the 1 Regulus. If you see it, you see it. Cool. It's an extra negate extender. If not, no big deal. Looks like they were just trying to add a cool card in there. I don't think that's necessarily standard, but you have enough room for 10 to 13-ish probably defensive cards if you want. You see you got 10 hand traps here, plus like the 2 calls for protection from, my guess would be something like, I guess not Ogre. I guess your biggest thing would be like Veiler and Imperm are actually the biggest hand traps versus your deck. We'll talk about that a little bit in a sec. And then, yeah, everything else is cool. All these cards individually work decently well as long as you pair them with like other Rescue Ace cards. So none of them are bricks, even though there's a handful of one-offs here. But the deck is consistent. The deck dodges a lot of things, and I think that's the biggest point. And they do some cool things. So the biggest thing is this card right here, Turbulence. This card just on field allows you to set 4 different named Rescue Ace quick play spells and or traps. So very, very powerful. You go +4 off of this card, and so the whole strategy is kind of just based around, hey, put a ton of like just get this card on the field and plus. That's really what it comes down to is you can bait a bunch of interruptions however many ways, apply a bunch of cards from your hand into a play, and as long as your final play is plop this guy and set 4, you're probably in a really good spot, and that's where it is. And the fact that this card doesn't add these cards, it sets them, really goes a long way in helping this deck dodge a lot of really important effects in the format. And then in the X deck, I might as well point out this. The coolest thing in the X deck really, Sunlight Wolf is cool because you can add back any of your fire monsters. But the really coolest thing in the X deck is this right here, Proxy F Magician plus Mud Dragon. Part of the combo is if you have enough free bodies to put on the field, you'll make Proxy F Magician, fuse Proxy with itself and another fire Rescue Ace monster on your field into Mud Dragon, and then Mud Dragon will make itself fire, so that way your opponent cannot target Turbulence. And as far as going first, if your opponent, really the only hand traps that stop Turbulence are like Veil or Imperm. I guess you could throw Ghost Mourner in there. But I don't know how many people are going to be willing to play it. Plus, they would have to hit him on summon, which means if they could remove him from the field and summon him back with like Preventer or something, then you'd be able to activate again anyway. So there are ways to beat that card aside from that. And so the deck becomes very, very good at resolving this. And when you do, you're in a really good spot. So let's go ahead and look at the way that this deck really works. This 1 card combo that the deck abuses all the time. Where do I have this? Here we go. All right, so here we go. So this is a 1 card combo with Airlifter. Whoops, let's zoom this up so we can actually see what's going on here. Airlifter is your Stratos for your spells. The new spell really allows this card to be a 1 card play. You also have Impulse, which can summon this from deck. Fire Engine, which can summon this from deck. And you can play like Rhoda. You could even potentially play Noble Arms Durendal if you wanted more consistency. And the deck also plays Prosperity. So finding this card is not an issue. So let's take a look at what 1 card gets you. This is the standard line. You're going to normal summon it. You're going to search the new spell, Emergency. This card E-tellies a new Rescue Ace and then tributes 1, so you do have to give up a body. You're going to go for Hydrant. This one searches a monster. You're going to grab Turbulence, the big boy, the guy that you want to resolve. Turbulence banishes any 2 Rescue Ace cards, so spells and traps count as well. So that means you've already been set up to summon this from hand. So you go ahead and summon Turbulence by banishing those 2. And then we go Turbulence set 4. And I think the biggest thing here is that we're making sure to get this spell, Alert. Alert can search you a Rescue Ace monster, and I know it's a quick play, but Hydrant lets you activate on a quick play. One of your Rescue Ace quick plays, the turn it was set. So you get this, and then this is able to search you for Preventer, and then you banish the Alert from grave to summon Preventer, and boom, he is an additional Book of Moon effect on the field. Pretty damn powerful off of 1 card, and there's a couple of particular notes about this play that I want to keep in mind for you guys. So the first thing is, our final board is a Book of Moon from Preventer. Extinguish is a pop, or is it a negate? It's a pop. It destroys a monster your opponent controls, and it doesn't allow that monster to float. It says they can't activate the effects of the destroyed monsters or any monsters with the same name. So pretty powerful pop overall, but you do have to control a Rescue Ace, so that's why you only play 1. Contain, kind of same thing, but it's what is that card called? Warning Point, kind of, but in archetype. Target a monster, its effects are negated, and it can't be used as material for an extra deck monster. So pretty good interruption there. And then you also have Emergency, which can tribute one of your guys to summon another one and keep rotating you more resources. So the grind game is pretty plentiful. And then on the next turn, you can also banish this to reset or get a trap back, a set back to your field as well. So a lot of follow-up on top of 3+ interruptions is pretty damn strong. And I think the biggest point is this. This deck dodges all of the biggest cards in the game. So the biggest difference between the TCG and the OCG is Max C. Okay? The decks that end up doing better in the OCG are decks that do not play immensely rough into Max C. So keep in mind, our total special summon count on this combo specifically is 3. But you could easily just hold the Preventer. You don't even have to summon the Preventer because you could have just summoned it on the opponent's turn with Emergency to still get that Book of Moon effect live. And you could have searched a different monster off of the Alert for a follow-up. So you could have only summoned special summoned twice, and you still get, 3+ interruptions. Your opponent gets a +1, and you're still in a pretty damn good position because of all the follow-up your deck is going to have anyway. So that's the biggest thing, is this deck plays pretty damn well under Max C. Secondly, big Haymaker cards, Droll and Lockbird. So technically we searched 3 times in this combo. You start with Airlifter, you would get Drolled on that, and then you have your Hydrant as well as your Alert. But if you get Drolled, it's not like we don't go anywhere. Like I stated at the beginning of the video, if we resolve Turbulence, we are fine. And because Turbulence sets, it does not add, that's insanely strong. And so we end up in a position where if we get Drolled on Airlifter, we just immediately go for the spell Tributing Airlifter to summon Turbulence. And you just go straight into Turbulence, set 4, and you probably pass from there. But that's still 1, 2, and Emergency can still summon from summon from deck on the opponent's turn 2 anyway, which is really good. You actually choose probably not to set Alert. You probably set Rescue instead. Rescue's like a quick reborn, so you would reborn your Airlifter to get not only a search for next turn, but also that would be a tribute for that would be the extra body, so that way your Preventer would have its Book of Moon effect. And boom, right there again. 3 interruptions, 2 to 3 follow-ups through Droll on a 1-card combo. Insanely good when you're talking about getting that much interruption and value off of through Droll, through some of the biggest hand traps in the game. The last one I want to mention, Nibiru. This was 4 summons. This is your full combo. This is your full 1-card combo. Can't be Nibiru. So this deck plays so good under all of the biggest Haymaker hand traps in the game, and the weenie hand traps are fine, but like if you don't have 2+, you really feel like you're not going to be able to stop this deck, right? So I really like the way this deck works. Now it does get punished by certain cards, your Lightning Storms, your evenly matches. Those cards are really brutal versus this deck, but those are more side deck cards. So post side, you've got Judgments, for going first, stuff like that to kind of mitigate that weakness. But all in all, the deck is like crazy, and it really feels like if this deck is prevalent, everybody needs to be playing like Veilers and Imperms, but they may just feel lackluster versus some of the other matchups. So if the format's diverse enough, it, like in the OCG, it allows this deck to really flourish because nobody's really got the best cards to kind of give it problems. They've got these Haymaker trap, like hand traps, that this deck plays under so well. So I really like it. I don't think we've really seen such a dodgy, shifty one-card combo deck like this in a while. And I know this combo isn't like super crazy. It's kind of just like Search Turbulence set 4. But when we look at it, I mean, how many one-card combos that get you 3 interruptions, 2 follow-ups, or like something in that realm, more interruptions, more follow-ups, whatever, like just that much value, but also like don't care about Droll, but also don't care that much about Maxi, but also don't trigger Nibiru. It just doesn't happen. And I think because this deck slides into that weird realm of like just that specific slot in Yu-Gi-Oh! That doesn't care about those things, it's really potent. So I'm excited to mess around with it. It still has its weaknesses. I don't think it's going to ever be the best deck in the TCG, really, unless they make like even more crazy support down the line. But I think it's really cool, and I'm excited to mess with them. And I don't think it's a fluke. I don't think it's just a fad that people are on this deck. I think they found that the way it plays, it floats under a lot of the big stuff in the game. So yeah, that's really just my opinion on this card. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts down below as well on this. Are there any other specific points that make this deck like able to compete like it's been, which nobody saw coming? We saw these new 2 cards come out, and we said, these are really nice cards, but like, it's Rescue Ace, so what are we doing here? And we're doing here. We're just actually doing here. So I love it. It's really cool. Very excited to mess around with this deck when the new cards come out. But I'm out of here for today. Thank you so much for watching as always. Let me know your thoughts down below on Rescue Ace and its future in the TCG. Any added points to that stuff. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.